So I know that one of our favorite storybook characters in my classroom is this guy right here. And I bet a lot of you know who that is. It is Pete the cat. And you know one thing I noticed on the title? Pete. Pete. Pete starts with our letter of the day. Pete starts with a P. And we find that P in our title, which is on the front cover. So our title of our book is Pete the Cat and His 4 Groovy Buttons. The author of our book is Eric Litwin. The illustrator is James Dean. So the author wrote all the words, the illustrator did all the pictures. And if we come to the back cover of the book, look at all those buttons. Wonder what all these curly marks mean. 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. And I want to show you up here, I drew a shirt and I put 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons on that shirt, just like Pete has on his jacket. So let's see what Pete's gonna do with his groovy buttons. There is our title page, Pete the Cat and his 4 groovy buttons. Look at all those different colors. Oh, here's another title page. Here's the dedication page. It says, to Trey and Destiny, always be honest, give more than you take, and follow your dreams. Excuse me. So here's our first page. This is where I start reading. And look at that. It's another P. Our story starts out, Pete the cat put on his favorite shirt with 4 big, colorful, round, groovy buttons. He loved his buttons so much he sang this song. And look at that. Here's a thought bubble, and in his thought bubble is the number 4. 4, he's thinking 4 buttons. So he sings this. There he is, still thinking about that number 4. My buttons, my 4 groovy buttons, my 4 groovy buttons. Pop. Look at that, it's our word of the day, is pop. P-O-P. That was the word we just wrote today. Oh no! One of the buttons popped off and rolled away. How many buttons are left? So, I'm gonna pop off a button on our shirt and let's count and see how many are left. So we had 4, 1 popped off, and now we have, help me count them, 1, 2, 3. So he has 3 buttons left on his shirt. And look at that, there's the number 3. Here they wrote the number, and here is the number 3. And now he's got a thought bubble. He's thinking, 3, groovy. Did Pete cry? Goodness no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept on singing his song. My 3 groovy buttons, my 3 groovy buttons. Pop. There's that word again, our word of the day. Oh no. Another button popped off and rolled away. How many buttons are left? All right, we lost another one. So we had 3 and another one fell off. So let's count and see how many we have left. 1, 2. Look at that. There is the number 2 written out in letters, and here is the numeral, the number, actual number 2. Did Pete cry? What do you think? Goodness no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept on singing his song. My buttons, my two groovy buttons, my two groovy buttons. Look, I wonder what's gonna happen now. Oh, look, here's a truck, and on this truck are some words. It says ice cream. This must be an ice cream truck. And here's that word again. Do you remember what this says? Can you help me say it? Pop. Oh no. Another button popped off and rolled away. How many buttons are left? So let's take one more button off of our shirt. How many are left? Only one. And there is the number 1 written out with the number 1. And sometimes ones look like this. This is kind of a fancy way to write a 1. Did Pete cry? What do you think? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept on singing his song. You want to sing it with me? My buttons, my one groovy button. My button, my one groovy button. There it is again. And there's an exclamation point. So that means we use a louder voice when we say it. Can you help me say this word? Pop. Oh no. The last button popped off and rolled away. How many buttons are left? Look at that. No buttons left. 0. There's the word 0. And there is the number 0. Did Pete cry? What do you think? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. Pete looked down at his buttonless shirt. That means he didn't have any buttons left. And what do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? Some of you maybe heard this book before. You can guess. It's pretty silly. His belly button. And he kept on singing his song. There's his belly button. And here's another thought bubble. And look it says, it's all good. My button, still have my belly button. My button, still have my belly button. Silly Pete. I guess it simply goes to show that stuff will come and stuff will go. But do we cry? Do we cry? Goodness, no. We keep on singing. Buttons come and buttons go. The end. All right, and maybe from this book today you can guess what our number might be. We'll see you later.